We are getting some breaking news in the investigation into the disappearance of Nancy Guthrie.
There are some puzzling new developments tonight in the ongoing search for Nancy Guthrie.
The press conferences started happening in the interviews with Nanos. What were you thinking?
Shut your mouth. Stop talking.
63 days since Nancy Guthrie mysteriously vanished from her home in her pajamas without the crucial medication that she needs.
Bitcoin was invented.
Bitcoin. TMZ is saying that it's received a new note demanding 1 Bitcoin, which is about $68,000, in exchange for the name of the individual involved in Guthrie's disappearance.
This was never random. The abduction of Nancy Guthrie did not happen in the middle of the night by accident. It did not happen because someone chose the wrong house, the wrong street, or the wrong woman. Every second of it, from the first signal to the last, was engineered. And the evidence to prove that was already running before investigators even knew where to look. On February 1st, 2026, at 1:44 a.m., a single phone call was made. 3 minutes. That was all it took. Federal analysts later traced that call, pinpoint accuracy, to a device sitting within the exact GPS range of Tomaso Cion's vehicle. This wasn't a coincidence. This wasn't a wrong number. This was a trigger. 3 minutes after that call ended, the house went dark. At 1:47 a.m., doorbell camera footage captured a masked figure approaching the Catalina Foothills property. No hesitation. No pause at the door. Deliberate, practiced movement, straight to the security panel, straight to the lines that needed cutting. Every step was clean. Every action was professional. Federal investigators would later describe it as a clean, professional execution guided by someone on the inside. The figure knew the layout. The figure knew the system. The figure knew exactly how to shut it all down in seconds. But while the house went dark on camera, another device kept recording. Nancy Guthrie had a cardiac pacemaker implanted in her chest. A silent recorder, a terminal witness, that no one thought to account for. At exactly 1:47 a.m., as the masked figure moved through the entrance, that device registered a sudden violent spike in vital signs. Her biological timeline had begun. For the next 41 minutes, the pacemaker logged sustained extreme cardiac distress. Clinical. Exact. Permanent. The data cannot be argued. It cannot be twisted. It is a biological timeline that recorded what happened inside that home in real time, to the second. At 2:28 a.m., the signal flatlined. Not death. Forced removal. Nancy Guthrie was taken from her home at 2:28 a.m., and her pacemaker logged the moment her body was moved beyond its last recorded position. 41 minutes of distress, documented by the device inside her chest, and then silence. That flatline was not the end of the evidence. It was the beginning of it. The first layer of the 3-layer framework had been locked. Now the question shifted from what happened to why. Tomaso Cion was not a stranger to the Guthrie family. He was embedded in the financial architecture of their world, a trusted figure positioned close enough to operate undetected. But in the weeks before February 1st, that proximity had become a liability. Not for Nancy. For him. Tomaso's collapsing empire had cracks that were starting to show. Investigators allege she was entangled in embezzlement and illicit loans worth millions, a scheme that had been running for years, hidden beneath layers of legitimate financial movement. Nancy Guthrie had begun uncovering fragments of the truth. Not the full picture, not yet, but enough. Enough to ask the questions that Tomaso could not afford to answer. Enough to reach federal authorities, the DOJ, if she put the pieces together. She had to be removed before she could. The abduction served 2 objectives. First, silence the only person with both the access and the integrity to expose the fraud. Second, extract a multi-million-dollar payout from the Guthrie family while the chaos of a missing person investigation bought time. A calculated trade, one life for keeping their collapsing empire hidden. Then came the ransom note. Inside it, a 34-character Bitcoin wallet address. Tomaso Cion, and whoever designed this operation with him, believed that cryptocurrency made them untraceable. That was the miscalculation that ended everything. What they failed to understand is that blockchain doesn't forget. On February 11, 2026, federal cyber analysts executed a precision tool. A single transaction. $152 sent directly into the ransom wallet. Not to pay. To mark. The digital thread had been planted into the immutable ledger, and now investigators had a live trail attached to every cent in that address. Tomaso Cion moved the money. He shifted it through multiple wallets, layering the movement the way financial criminals always do, trying to dilute the trail, trying to create distance between himself and the source. Advanced tracking software followed every step in real time. Every wallet. Every transfer. Every fragment of that $152 precision transaction was tracked as it moved through the blockchain. And then the trail ended exactly where federal investigators needed it to. A centralized exchange. A platform bound by identity verification laws. A platform that required a verified name, a verified face, and a verified identity to process any withdrawal. Tomaso Cion moved the funds to an exchange that knew exactly who he was. His verified ID. His face. His identity, tied directly to the transaction, locked into the immutable ledger, permanent and irreversible. The same technology he believed would shield him became the evidence that locked him in place. The second layer of the three-layer framework had been sealed. But the digital thread didn't just point outward. It pointed inward. For 75 days, Nancy Guthrie stood in front of cameras. Grieving daughter. Desperate family member. Pleading for information, pleading for her mother's safe return. 75 days of that performance, while federal investigators built a parallel picture of who Nancy Guthrie was behind the cameras. The masked figure knew which lines to cut. The masked figure knew the security codes. The masked figure knew Nancy's medical routines, her daily habits, her vulnerability windows, the specific moments in her day when she was most exposed. That level of internal intelligence does not come from surveillance alone. It comes from someone inside. Someone who had been inside for years. Investigators believe Nancy Guthrie designed and enabled the operation from within. The security code she provided. The medical routine she shared. The vulnerability windows she mapped. Every piece of internal intelligence that made the February 1st operation run clean, federal investigators believe it came from her. Not from a stranger. From her daughter. Nancy Guthrie also managed the narrative. Anonymous tip letters were sent to media outlets in the weeks following the abduction. The letters claimed Nancy Guthrie was already dead. Or that she had been taken across the border, into Mexico, into the Sonora Desert. A jurisdictional boundary play. If investigators believed Nancy was in Mexico, federal jurisdiction shifted. The case became complicated. Cross-border protocols slowed the pace. The misdirection bought time, or was designed to. But digital evidence doesn't respect borders. The $152 transaction didn't care about the Sonora Desert narrative. The Pacemaker data didn't care about anonymous tip letters. The blockchain trail didn't stop at a jurisdictional line. Every false lead Nancy Guthrie helped seed into the investigation was neutralized not by counter-investigation, but by the evidence that was already running before she sent the first letter. On day 75, the federal case reached indictment stage. 3 layers, fully assembled. The physical layer, a 1:44 a.m. phone call traced to Tomaso Cion's GPS location, a masked figure on doorbell camera moving with professional precision, and a security system shut down by someone who knew every code by memory. The biological layer, a pacemaker, the silent recorder, the terminal witness, that logged 41 minutes of sustained cardiac distress beginning at exactly 1:47 a.m. and a flatline signal at 2:28 a.m. that marked the moment Nancy Guthrie was forced from her home. The digital layer, a 34-character Bitcoin wallet address, a $152 precision tracking transaction executed on February 11th, a blockchain trail that moved through multiple wallets and ended at a centralized exchange where Tomaso Cion's verified identity was permanently attached to every transfer he made. Physical, biological, digital. The three-layer framework had been closed. Federal authorities are no longer searching. They are assembling. Every piece of evidence, the call at 1:44 a.m., the flatline at 2:28 a.m., the $152 transaction on February 11th, has been documented, verified, and entered into the case record. The Pacemaker data is clinical and exact. The blockchain trail is permanent and irreversible. The digital thread that connected Tomaso Cion to the ransom wallet is woven into the immutable ledger, and nothing about it can be changed. Nancy Guthrie spent 75 days in front of cameras building a story. Tomaso Cion spent years building a financial empire. Both of them built their operation on the assumption that certain things leave no record. They were wrong about all of it. The evidence multiplied. Nothing forgets. Bit.